This isn't as dramatic as some of the other stories on here, but scared the shit out of me. I'm a woman in my early 20s, and I live in a flat with a male friend of the same age. Our flat is on the top floor, with our kitchen window above the door. We have all our windows open at the moment because we smoke, plus it's summer and hot all the time. There's usually at least one of us home at all times, as I work 9 to 5 and he works nights, so the open window thing isn't really a problem. A few weeks ago, my flatmate went away for a few days, so that day he happened to close the window in the kitchen. It's maybe the first time it's been closed in the 6 months we've lived there. That night, I came home drunk and was on the sofa dicking around in my phone when I guess I fell asleep. Around an hour later, maybe 2 a.m., I'm woken up by a weird scratching noise in the kitchen. I now realize it was someone clawing at the window they expected to be open, but at the time, I was still wasted. I got up and turned on the light to go to the bathroom, and the scratching stops. I go to the bathroom, not thinking about the noise that woke me up, when I hear a louder scratching noise, much more guttural. I go back to the kitchen and look out the window, and there's someone over the road dragging a big stepladder away. Again, didn't really think about it. The next day, I look out my kitchen window, and I see this, directly under it. It's a board to safely stand on surfaces that might bust easy, like a fragile roof thing over a front door. It looks like there's a CCTV camera there, but it's only a shell, and it's quite obviously not working from the front. I called the landlord to ask if there was any work happening to the house we weren't informed about. Nope, nothing. I have no idea if the person tried to break in again, but I only thought to post this as my flatmate went away again 2 days ago, and at some point today, the board outside the window disappeared. Guy with stepladder, let's not meet. When I was in 4th grade, my family was still living in Denver, Colorado, in a small condo near my school. My brother, who was a kindergartner at the time, and I only had to cross the street and walk between a couple of apartment buildings to get to the football field attached to our school. It was normally a pretty quick and safe trip to and from. My mother was taking night classes at NAU at the time, and her boyfriend, whom we lived with, would usually watch us in the evenings, although he wasn't off until about 6:30 p.m. We grew up as latchkey kids, so this wasn't a big deal. One day, my brother and I were walking home together after school, like we usually do, and had just gotten to the street in front of our home, when a white car pulled up in front of us. The man didn't seem like your typical weirdo, maybe in his late 20s and looking pretty clean cut. Looking back, the fact that he was driving such a fancy car, a Mercedes-Benz I believe, and wearing such a crisp outfit didn't really fit in with our neighborhood. He asked my brother and I if our parents were home, and I immediately got a serious sensation of stranger danger from this dude. I looked at our apartment across the street, then back at him, and in the most "I'm not stupid" tone I could find, I asked, "Why?" "It doesn't matter," he replied dismissively. "Are they home?" He seemed a little more insistent with his question and glanced around. "Yep," I said, despite fully knowing that they were not home and that my mom's boyfriend wouldn't be home for another 2 hours. I figured it was better to lie and say yes. "What are they doing?" he asked, really looking us over. I then turned to my brother and ordered him, "Let's go." But he wouldn't follow me. I went to grab his hand and he quickly withdrew it with a sharp "no" and looked back at the guy. The guy then looked at both of us and then back at my brother, and with a facial expression that made my hair stand on end, he said, "Come closer, I have something for you." My brother started walking to the door of the car, and the guy was reaching with his hand out, nothing in it, like he was about to grab him. I grabbed my brother's coat immediately and started hauling him towards our apartment as fast as I could. He was screaming for me to let him go, but I was so terrified I just kept dragging him. The guy quickly put his car into gear and literally peeled out of there. My mother's friends started picking us up from school after that, and a PSA was issued to the community. I still get a little creeped out when cars slow down near me while I'm walking outside. Potential child abductor? Let's not meet again. I was a 19-year-old new mom at the time this happened. My husband, now ex, came home from work with my 17-year-old brother in tow sometimes after 1 a.m. They wanted to go out and get something to eat. As I hadn't really left the house in months, I jumped at the opportunity. I grabbed the baby and put him in the car seat in the rear passenger seat. I called shotgun, my husband drove, and my brother crawled in back with the baby. We lived in a small town, so nothing is open this late within the town limits. So our only option was to go a few miles put of town to a nearby truck stop gas station, and Hardee's. Now the building itself is pretty small, but the lot is huge. There are quite a few 18-wheelers lined up on the far side of the lot, and a few cars parked in front of the building. There are some street lamps in the lot, but they are far and few between, so the lot is mostly dark. We parked in one of the dark spots at the side of the building closest to the Hardee's entrance. The baby had fallen asleep by then, so I told my brother and hubby to go in and order for me. They do, and I immediately lock the doors my mother has drilled into me to do since I was little. I am so thankful now that she did that. My husband and bro had been gone for 5 minutes, and I was just staring straight ahead listening to music when I catch movement out of the corner of my eye. I turn my head and see a man walking in my direction. He is probably mid-30s with a mop of curly brown hair poking out from underneath a red baseball cap. I figured he was going towards the entrance to the restaurant, as it was at most 20 feet away from me, and went back to spacing out. A couple of minutes pass, and I hear a car door handle jiggle. I whip my head around and see the man pulling at the car door behind me, my baby's door. He gives up and takes the 2 steps to my door. I quickly double and triple check all the doors are locked. They are. He tries my door and fails, then walks to the other side of the car and tries those doors too. I am freaking out and frozen in fear. This is the age of the flip phone, so not everyone had a cell phone at this time, and I definitely did not have one. He circles the car 2 more times, checking each handle as he goes. I'm watching him the whole time in the mirrors, and he doesn't look directly at me once. I place my hand on the horn, and I made the decision to really lay into it if he pulls a weapon or tries something else. I take a moment to try and get a look into the store at my brother and husband through the partially obscured windows and glass doors, but I can't see them. I look in the mirror to see the creeper's whereabouts, but he's gone. I turn around in my seat and I still can't see him. He must have given up and left. I relax a bit, but stay vigilant. Finally, my brother and hubby exit the restaurant, food in hand. I cannot explain the relief that washed over me just then. I unlock the doors for them and they get in. My brother asks, "What was that guy doing crouched behind the car?" My pulse quickened. "Seriously? He's still there?" My brother pointed to one of the cars in front of the building and said, "No, when we walked to the car, he jumped and ran to that car over there. He's flying flat in the back seat." Before you ask, no, we didn't call the cops. It is one of my biggest regrets to this day. We were all young and lacking in life experience. If it happened to me today, I would call in a heartbeat to keep other innocents safe from this creeper. To this day, I don't know if he was after me, the baby, or the car. Whatever it was, he was up to no good, and I can only hope he never got the opportunity to hurt anyone.